In this video, I want to take y'all through and break down my shots from the big weekend series between the Mets and the Braves. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. What is up? Welcome back. Pete here. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Gottschalk, content producer for Major League Baseball, and today I kind of want to just kick back, relax, and break down some of my shots from this past weekend series. As I mentioned, it was a very big series. There was a lot of energy in the stadium. The fans were great, but today I had my cup of coffee, and you guys liked when I broke down my opening weekend shots. So today, that's what we're gonna do. Go get yourself a cup of coffee, glass of water, or a snack, and just sit back and enjoy. I'm gonna take you guys through the compositions that I used, why I shot in certain frame rates, where I was in certain locations on the field, or why I was in certain locations on the field or in the stands, and obviously other things like gear too. So without further ado, let's get into this. I'm gonna take y'all through chronologically from the Friday game through the Sunday one. All three were night games, and I varied up how I shot the first day from the last two, so I'm going to kind of explain that. First shot I want to take y'all through is this Jacob deGrom type B-roll shot, and I was on the 7200 on a Canon C70 here, and this is what I mean by how I varied up the way I shot from today, or the Friday, to the last 2 days of the series. I used a 7200 a lot this day, but I did not touch it after that, and I was going for a lot of tight B-roll, handheld. It's very challenging to do this. You got to be on manual focus, and I shot a lot of it in 120, and I was just trying to capture some emotion. If we look at this clip, we see Jacob deGrom and Thomas Nido walking towards me, and you'll see I'm trying to get them in focus, and I have it pretty well here. I'm at like f2 2.5. Lose focus is okay for a little bit of the clip. It's really fine if you're out of focus for a little half second there. People aren't going to really notice, and I can tell I zoom out here. This is where the clip gets good. And deGrom looks at the fans' atmosphere, looks down, takes a deep breath, can't see his eyes anymore. That type of emotion is exactly what I was looking for in those shots. Managed to roll the focus pretty well there. It's hard to keep the camera steady. When you're in 120 handheld on a 7200, it's obviously very heavy. So 120 kind of allows you to have a little bit of wobble and shake, obviously, because it's slowed down, so it's not going to be picked up as much. The second shot that I want to go over is this Olson Home Run. Before I go over this, I just want to preface this with, like, the overarching theme of this entire weekend was I wanted to capture fans and the environment, playoff environment, the raucous crowd, because obviously it was a huge series, very pivotal in the division race. I went wide a lot of times on hitters and wide on pitchers to try and capture fans in the background, you know, scenes, limbs, things like that. And this was the first example of it. And this clip did pretty well on social. I believe it got picked up by MLB on Fox, and they commented on how much they liked the angle. It ended up doing really well, and I was really proud of this shot. So here we go. Classic Olson bomb. Sees it, knows it right off the bat, looks at his team, flips the bat, casual flip. But see in the background here, you can see all the limbs, everything. My favorite shot in the world is the pinned home run. The home run and all the crowd stands up. It's an immediate no-doubter. And right here, you can see how well Olson is cut out of the background. I wanted to go down to f2.2 here just to kind of create that separation. And you are down low. I was down low, so it really makes Olson look a little bigger too. The lower you shoot from, the better shots tend to look, especially in sports. It's just going to make the subject and the athletes look bigger. Another shot I want to go over is this tracking shot. I won't stay too long on this because it is pretty simple. It just takes a lot of practice. This tracking strikeout shot can also be applied to football, and obviously on a pass or something like that, a quick pass over the middle, a deep pass, anything where you're pivoting really fast. If you're using a Canon lens, one thing that helps is switching the stabilizer mode to 2. The second mode on lens stabilization is for when you're whipping or panning, and that is really helped me on this shot particularly. Now I'm focused on deGrom here. I'm all manual, and then you just got to keep up with the pitch. That's where practice comes in. Sometimes it helps to angle your body towards the catcher first, or towards your receiver, whatever it is, and then flip right like that. Start at the pitcher, flip to where your body's angled towards. That's one thing that's helped me as well. That one also wasn't my favorite one. I feel like I've done better, but it still works. I was out of focus at the end there, but it's fine. It was in focus enough. So let's go to the Saturday game. And like I said, I did mix it up a little bit. For these last two games, Saturday, Sunday, I went to the Ronin a lot, and I tried a lot of things with the Ronin. When I was in Germany with Campbell, he really inspired me to kind of utilize my Ronin a little more. I don't know, I was just trying new things with it. One thing that I did was zoom up to 50 mil on the 24-70. And now this threw the balance off just a little bit, but like I wasn't running, so it didn't really matter. And I was also in slow motion, so you didn't really notice it as much. First shot from this game I want to go over is this Kyle Wright one. And you'll see what I was trying to do here, what I was just talking about. I was on f2.5, I believe, or 2.2, I can't remember. I put on manual focus and picked a spot in the grass 10, 12 feet in front of me and put the lens at 50. And I basically tried to get Kyle in that frame of distance from me. And I kept moving back as he moved a little closer to me. And see that, how he stays in focus just enough. It's probably not perfect, but it stays in focus just enough there as he's walking. And it creates this kind of, it's cool, you know, that compression on the motion too. Looks really good. And you'll notice it here in this little girl with this Austin Riley sign. She notices me filming her and she gets really excited. It was a really heartwarming shot, and I really do like this one. Again, the focus isn't perfect. You can tell it might be a little back focused, but it's in focus enough where I think it's usable. And Austin did end up coming over to sign that poster, and he did take a picture with her. It was pretty cool. Final shot from this game that I want to look at is also from the Ronin. I zoomed this one back out to about 24 millimeter on the 24-70, and I put it in 24 frames a second because I wanted that kind of movie look. But I'm also on f2.2, so this was a tough one to focus. I kind of tried to focus on darn node. Normally I would try to put the camera at like a f5.6 so everything's in focus, but I wanted that shallow depth of field, that kind of Madden quote-unquote look, 8K or whatever you know, everyone thinks it's called. I wanted the fans right here in the foreground to be blurred out and then the rest of it to be kind of in focus. And if we play it back, I start moving before Kenley throws the strike, and I believe that adds some nice continuation, and it looks cool. It really cuts, the foreground is really isolated from the background, which I really did like. For the final game of this series, I have a couple shots, and I feel like I varied myself well in this. There are games where I shoot, and it's just like with an athlete, it's gonna sound corny, but there's times where I feel like I shoot really well, and other times where I feel like I shot very poorly. And this was one of the games where I felt like I shot really well. Again, like the crowd and the atmosphere and the energy from the players really made the shots. I believe I really did vary my focal lengths a lot here, and that really helped with the variation in my shots. And that's something important to do, I do believe. You young videographers, don't always shoot on the same focal length. Don't always shoot all the way zoomed in or all the way zoomed out. Make sure you're varying it up, and also vary up your location. If we go to this Chris Bassett pregame shot in slow motion, this is another example of me trying to use the Ronin at about 50 millimeter. I again did the same thing I did with Kyle Wright. Moved to my right and a little back as Chris was moving the opposite way of me. And it's not the most perfect shot because his feet are cut off, but it works, right? Like it's definitely usable. I like the compression here. There's a lot of stuff around, like guys in the background, but like you guys get the idea of that type of shot at this point, I hope. Again, from this Guillaume BP, I put it on 24 frames because I wanted that movie look. Again, it's at about 60 mil this time, and you can see me rotating around, and I really like the look of this shot. Now the net is obviously annoying, but I was a low f-stop. I was at like f2, and that when the lower your f-stop is, the more of those things in the foreground will kind of blur out and be less distracting. So that's why I was that low. But I think that whole zoomed in on the Ronin and moving around the subject, it's very challenging to do. Manual focus on a gimbal, especially at f2, but when you get it right, when it pays off, I think it's a very unique look. For this next shot, this is just a simple darn node RBI single, and I was in the right place for this one. I shot a lot of these games and the last two games of the series, the beginning parts in the first base well, because that is the best place to see player reactions from both sides. I got a couple Met shots. I got the Vogelbach home run yesterday. It was a great reaction, and this is exactly what I was looking for. I decided to go a little tighter on Darno this time because I knew he would react. He always does, but you can see I'm on 60 frames a second because I wanted the slow motion. Does a cool bat flip. You can see the crowd stand up in the background. Riley comes in behind him. And another thing is, when you're shooting baseball, and not just baseball, any sport, it's really important to be locked in and aware of runners on base, or what down it is in football, or what quarter it is, how much time's left in the basketball game. It's really important to know those things. And when Riley's coming around there, I didn't know whether to try and track back and find him sliding in, but I decided just to stay at home and take the risk that he was going to be there at some point, and it paid out. But that's a pretty simple shot. That's a pretty run-of-the-mill standard shot. Anything first base side like that, intense situation, the players are going to make the shot good themselves by reacting. My favorite shot of the whole weekend is this Olson home run. And the reason was because I was just kind of wandering, roaming, trying to find that angle with the crowd in the background. I did this last year a lot in the playoffs, especially in Milwaukee. I got a Rowdy Tellez home run that I was really, really proud of. That home run, when the player sits and stands there and watches it, flips his bat, the whole crowd stands up behind him, again, is my favorite shot in the world. And this is what I was going for with Olson. Important one with this, if you look at it, you can see that I composed it with Olson in the right of the frame. And that's because I was going for the pulled home run. Matt Olson doesn't hit many opposite field home runs. If he was going to hit one, I was just taking the gamble that he was going to pull one over towards the chop house in right field. And he ended up doing it. He gets a hanging curveball. Boom. See the whole crowd stand up. Flips his bat. Now this shot is not as stable as I would have liked it. I was fighting the wind bad because I was up high and it was cold. But it's stable enough. It was in 24 frames just because I think I wasn't going to slow that one down. Slow motion at 60 looks a little awkward from that angle. Don't think it's really needed. That was my favorite shot of the weekend. My second favorite shot of the weekend is also the last shot I want to go over, and it is this blooper run out. Now, we've done this before, me and Blooper. I always tell him, just do your thing. Think of something funny. Matt Faraci's the OG person that did this. Blooper content always adds to the drama and to the effect and to how well it does on social too. This isn't the most perfect run out because I don't get out of the way and his flag actually hits my camera, but I'm in F4, 60 frames a second, 4K at roughly like 250 ISO, and I'm in autofocus actually because I just don't want to worry about the focus, but here you go. Hits me. Orbit around these guys. The more orbits, the faster you go, the better it's going to look on these types of shots. See how it's not quite as stable as it should be? I think that's because when the flag hit the camera, it loosened the plate a little bit, but it's stable enough. I was at like 20 millimeter, wide enough, so it's not going to really pick up a ton of shake anyways, and slowed down in 60, it works. So I'm really not too upset about it. It does the job. But anyway, thank you guys and girls for watching. I hope you did enjoy this kind of chill, kick back, break down the shots video. And there'll probably be more of these soon, and there'll be more vlogs definitely in the near future. But anyway, thank you for supporting the content. And make sure you comment below if you have anything you want to say, any questions you got for me. And like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see y'all in the next video.